Hi everyone, this is Jackie. Welcome or welcome back to the channel. All right, so we're going to do a love reading here for the sign of Virgo. So anyone with Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus, those are the major placements. And then anyone with Virgo in their chart may benefit from this reading. So welcome to all. All right, and all of my readings are timeless, so whenever this reading found you, most likely there's a message here for you. Just follow your intuition and take what resonates, leave the rest. All right, so first off, I drew a few oracle cards here for you. And so we are starting with First Light, beginning a new cycle. Then we also have Fogged In, go slow, take time. And in the flow, everything is smooth sailing. All right. So it looks like you're beginning a new cycle here, Virgo. It could be a new cycle, possibly in love. It could be where maybe you just left a relationship and, maybe you're on your own for a little bit, just trying to do some healing and inner work. It could be, a new member of the family entering, maybe a new child, a new pet, possibly. It could also be a new job. It could be anything in your life that's starting anew. But Spirit, says that even though a lot of times we want to just jump in and get going, try to go slow and take your time here, okay? So a lot of things take a little extra time, and especially with healing. So, go slow. Everybody, does things in their own time, but, try to go as slow as you can here. But just reassure yourself that everything is smooth sailing, okay? So if you had any doubts about that, if you were, doubting that you were on the right path or anything like that, Spirit is just reminding you that everything is smooth sailing here, okay? All right, so we're going to start with some island wellness. Oh, goodness. And see what maybe the situation is here that you're either in or that you're leaving, possibly, because you're beginning a new cycle. So let's see what Spirit has to tell us. Okay, so we have a few cards that came out here. All right. So first card out is Girl with the Snake, Empath and Narcissist Paradigm, being charmed or used, having boundaries. So that might be the situation that you're either leaving or the situation you were in. If you are still in this situation, it looks like it might be ending soon because you have a new beginning or a new beginning of a new cycle here. So, it could be a new cycle with the same person. It is possible for some of you. I'm feeling like for the majority of you, you're beginning a new cycle that's past. If you're in a relationship with the person that hasn't really been the most healthy relationship, I think you're beginning a new cycle away from this person. That's the message that I'm getting here. So yeah. Let's see here. So we have Hammer, sabotage, rebuilding, interrogation, repetitive. So, it looks like you were in this situation or you are still in this situation. Maybe, you're the empath and you're with a narcissist, where they used you, maybe they breadcrumbed you, all sorts of things like that, played mind games. And, maybe they sabotaged this relationship. Maybe it was something where it was repetitive and persistent, where you just felt like you were on the hamster wheel here, never making any progress. So, if you haven't left this situation, yet, Spirit is saying that a new cycle is dawning here for you. So, I guess it's, up to you and whatever your situation is, where if you want to try to, work on it with this person or not. But yeah, so let's see. So we also have Clock, need time, takes time, cycles, time to heal. So yeah, so like I was saying earlier, as far as go slow and take time, Spirit does want to remind you here that it does take time to heal. It does take time to make progress in life. So don't try to rush things if you can help it. But with the self-indulgence card, it's saying that, you know, you should really focus on yourself. You should take time to heal, focus on your shadow work, you know, focus on yourself and making yourself happy here. Because if, you know, especially if you were with a narcissist or a person with narcissistic tendencies, you are most likely putting in a lot of work in this relationship. So, you know, now Spirit wants you to do a little work on yourself. You know, focus on yourself, take time to heal, focus on shadow work, self-appreciation, maybe go get a massage or a pedicure, try to ground yourself, things like that. And then I like you. So someone likes you, romance is blooming, having fun flirting, and wanting to date. So to me, that sounds like a new opportunity in love. It does not sound to me like it's a present person that you are with, especially, you know, in this situation here with being used or charmed, things like that, where you had to put up boundaries with someone. That does not sound like what this card is saying. So it sounds to me like you are on a new path here in a new cycle of life with a new person. And if you haven't met this person yet, it looks like they are possibly right around the corner. And I just got chills. So that's usually my confirmation from Spirit that is accurate for, you know, the majority of Virgos watching this, if not all of you. So yeah, just remember to take some time to heal. You know, and as far as the, you know, the part of the Hammer card that talks about working on it, I think it's working on you. It's not necessarily working on this other relationship that you just left. You know, maybe you're trying to be friends with this person. That's possible. Maybe it's going to take a little work, but I don't think that any of you are really sticking around to stay with this person because, yeah, because, you know, you're wanting to date here. What can you tell us for Virgo here, Spirit? What information can you give us for Virgo? Yeah, so this is a great new beginning here for Virgo. I'm excited for you. Especially, you know, after the situation that you've been in. I mean, the way that girl with the snake card is sounding, it sounds like you've been kind of through the ringer here, and you just deserve to have some you time and be with someone who, you know, who appreciates you. All right. So so we have the Queen of Cups here. So yeah, you know, you're showing up as the Queen of Cups. You're very loving, you're very nurturing, and actually that's basically the empath in this card here. So yeah. So if this resonates with you, where maybe you were the empath and your person was a little more narcissistic, or, you know, had those tendencies where they were very, you know, all about themselves, and, you know, it was more of a one-sided relationship, then yeah, definitely, you know, you're in this Queen of Cups energy here. You are definitely in the Queen of Cups energy. But you're also the High Priestess. So you used your intuition, or are using your intuition if you haven't left the situation yet, and you're using it to realize that this situation is not healthy. It's not what you want for your life, and you decided to leave. So we have death and rebirth here. So with the Death card, it can mean change, which, yes, there's a lot of changes going on here in your life. You stood up and, you know, stood in your power. You put up some boundaries with this person, and this relationship either has ended or is ending. So yeah. And now your person is in the Nine of Swords energy. So they are sitting there and they're having sleepless nights about this, because they realize that, you know, you're not there anymore, or you're not going to be there anymore. So yeah. And if you've had any sleepless nights over this, just remember that you have a new cycle coming in here. You have great things awaiting you here. But I am getting the message that is your person, because they're upset because you were all ready to give them the Ace of Cups here. You were wanting to give them, you know, ultimate love here, and, you know, your person is upset because you're going to give this Ace of Cups to someone else now. So, you know, that with the Ace of Cups, it's basically a new emotional beginning, a new beginning in love with joy, contentment, emotional fulfillment, basically. So, you know, it can also be about spiritual growth, but I think in this context, I think we're talking more about a relationship. So, you know, you were in this relationship as the Queen of Cups. You used your intuition here to leave the situation with the Death card here. And you're changing your life. You're ending the situation and you're changing your life, the death and rebirth. So now your person's in the Nine of Swords energy because you're taking your Ace of Cups and you're bringing it to this new person that's coming in. Yep. Which is awesome. What else do we need to know, Spirit? Because there was a lot of conflict here. So we have the Five of Wands that showed up. So yeah, there was a lot of conflict in this relationship. Unfortunately, you're down here somewhere, you know, just trying to get up there to, you know, be, you know, priority for your person. And unfortunately, they put other things first, it looks like. Which, unfortunately, that's what narcissistic individuals do. So, yeah. What else do you have to tell us, Spirit? What else do you have to tell us? All right. And then we have the Eight of Pentacles. So, yeah. So, you're willing to work on a new beginning here. You're willing to work on a new beginning. You're willing to work hard. You know, you were willing to work hard on your on this past relationship too, but it looks like it was more one-sided and your person just wasn't interested in that. All they brought to the table here was conflict. So you might have known this person from work. You might have worked with this person. That's possible. But yeah, you know, definitely you were definitely working on this relationship a lot more than your person was. Yeah, you were dedicated, trustworthy, and unfortunately your person, it does not appear that they were. And, you know, even though, you know, like I say, always say there's no gender in tarot, you know, you were in this Queen of Cups energy the whole time you were with this person, and then you stood up and you became the Emperor. This is not your, I don't believe, this is, I'm not feeling like this is your person. That is you. You stood up in your Emperor energy. You took the bull by the horns and you said, I'm done. I'm putting up boundaries and I'm leaving. I will take my Ace of Cups and go somewhere else. Because you don't value, you know, I don't feel like they valued you. So, and so right now, although you're leaving or left this situation as the Emperor here, you know, in your boss energy, now you're in the Nine of Pentacles energy. So, you know, they're very upset because now they see you and you are this independent, awesome person. You're getting a lot of, you know, maybe accolades at work. You're bringing in those pentacles. You know, you're successful. You have, you know, wealth as far as like abundance, you know, monetary wealth as well. Maybe you own your own home. You know, you have a successful career. And now your person is, you know, watching you in this Nine of Pentacles energy. And you're going to be sowing seeds with someone else here in a new life. So, absolutely. That's wonderful. All right. So, excuse me. So far we have, let's see. We have earth, water, fire, and air. So we have all of these signs out here right now. So honestly, the signs can be anyone who you might be dealing with. Yeah. All right. What advice do you have for Virgo here, Spirit? What do you have? What advice do you have for Virgo? Anything here? Okay. I'm actually being called to use a different deck. Let's see. I'm actually going to just use the love, these love cards as far as advice for you going forward. What advice do you have for Virgo, Spirit? Okay, so we have playfulness. Laughter is the best therapy. Have some fun together, and remember, love is the greatest healer. So yeah, especially if when you meet this new person, just try to, you know, just be light and playful and just kind of go with the flow, okay? And then we have healing. Imagine yourself and your beloved surrounded by light. Feel your relationship being healed this very moment. And then we have new beginning. A new adventure awaits. Embrace it and live your dreams passionately. All right. So, yeah, I think for the majority of you, I do know, you know, these two cards here kind of talk about, you know, being with your person. And yeah, I mean, that is true. But I kind of think that they're actually in the future. They're talking about more in the future. This one here is more in the present. These two are more in the future. So, you know, if you're being weighed down by the relationship that you're presently in, and, you know, you're kind of stressed out and not really wanting a new relationship right away, or, you know, not really open to love, Spirit just wants to remind you that, you know, lightheartedness and laughter is the best therapy. You know, try to just go have some fun. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything, you know, really super serious, especially, you know, obviously at first, because love is the greatest healer. So it will help you with your healing. So, you know, sometimes, you know, don't look at it as a rebound relationship. Just be open to, you know, something new coming into your life, especially after you've done a little healing time. But, you know, if you don't feel that you're fully healed, just be open with the person about that. And, you know, just have some fun and maybe just, you know, be friends first, because that's always the best way. Yeah. All right. So, Virgo, I'm going to leave this here. I hope this message helped you in some way, shape, or form. And it was a pleasure doing this reading for you. Again, if you feel called to, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you as part of the family. And until next time, namaste, my friends.